people could pull it off.
He does. I agree with you.
Handling the stardom properly.
He absolutely does. He is the personality, the joyous personality. He's got the complete package when it comes to that. All right, I agree with you 100%. What he don't have is the base fundamental skill behind it. Great boxer, don't get me wrong, great fighter. Let me rephrase that. If placed with the right trainer, because he's still young enough, if placed with the right trainer, you go let Teddy Atlas work with him for 2 fights. Then he may be unbeatable. That's no joke. But right at this moment, he's got some tells and stuff that can get him beat. I don't know if Porter has the power to beat him. Kell Brook does. Tim Bradley would just outbox him. You know?
Yeah, Tim Bradley is very tough. As a matter of fact, since though we're on for quite a while, there are all sorts of things I'm thinking that I don't even have the time to bring up, but I wonder how many other boxers within a weight division do you think would have finished on their feet in that fight Tim Bradley had against Ruslan Provodnikov?
Okay, they fought that fight at 140 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, we can go all the way to 154. We can go all the way to 154, and we won't go below 135. And finished on their feet. And actually took the licks or just fought Provodnikov. Now, Mayweather finishes on his feet against him because he ain't going to take the licks. But, you know what? In all honesty, I'm having a hard time coming up with that guy. And maybe, and this is a big maybe now, don't get me wrong, Austin Trout maybe could go with him, could handle it. But you know how big Austin Trout is? I mean, now you're at junior middleweight.
Yeah.
At 147, I don't know if there's a guy out there could have took that beating.
I mean, I met somebody that size. Maybe you didn't hear what I said because I just rewatched that fight recently, and I just could not believe the punches that Bradley took. And he was definitely very badly hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And honest enough later on to admit that he was slurring his words for months afterwards, which, of course, very few boxers would have done. But if you watch that fight, you wonder now, how in the world does he manage to stay on his feet for this one?
You ain't shitting.
You know? Who else could have taken that? My goodness.
Nobody in the sport, I don't think, Professor. I'm just being honest. I don't think there's anybody else in the sport.
And it made me think that if Bradley is knocked out eventually, that Provodnikov softened him up enough to make that possible.
I think the Provodnikov fight and the Chavez fight is what caused him to go get Teddy Atlas.
Yeah, Tim doesn't need to be trading the hardest blows. He gets to be a little bit too macho sometimes and should use his boxing ability.
Yeah. Now, see, that's one thing. He listens to Teddy right now still. He listens to him, and Teddy don't want him taking them beatings. And they'll get on him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'll tell him, this ain't where I talk to you. This is not what we talked about. He better heed the warning. Teddy will throw the towel in. One thing, I tell you what I did learn with the Pascal Kovalev 2 is I gained some respect for Freddie Roach. He wanted to stop that fight 2 rounds before they did. You know? He was in it for the best of his fighter. He was in it for his... He was not in it to win it. It was, my fighter is in danger. You know what I mean? And that's how all trainers should be, I feel.
All right, well...
Don't let the kid get hurt.
As long long as he's not going to win, it's better to just pull the plug and save him for another day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I agree 100%.
And of course, there have been so many trainers and managers who didn't do that.
Huh. Yeah. You're right. And
we're up through number 5, so you want to hear...
Let's go ahead and finish it off. We both agree, me and Professor both agree, boxing's not dead, okay? The sport's still here, and it's here to stay, guys. It ain't going nowhere. It's been here for a long time. And we both agree with that. We both agree that you're going to see a lapse, but I believe your torch carriers are Gennady Golovkin to get us over the hump, at least. And the reason we're going to need him to help us get over the hump, to carry us through that hump, I can see guys like Terrence Crawford, Vasily Lomachenko. Because I see Lomachenko moving up to about lightweight eventually. I mean, a lot of people don't know his second gold medal come at lightweight, you know. So this is a guy that he's hung around in his weight class he's at now, hoping for Rigondeaux to come up and get his beaten. That's all that boils down to. I mean, hell, he lost to Orlando Salido when Salido come in the ring weighing over 150 pounds that night. I mean, he come in there bigger than Floyd Mayweather. Anytime. I mean, weigh-ins, rehydrated, even after 1,500 milligrams of saline. It didn't matter. Floyd didn't weigh that much, you know. And, you know, Lawrence Cole got suspended and all kind of stuff happened because of that. But that's neither here nor there. It's in the past. It was bad management in my opinion. You know, you should have never put him in there in that fight. That's a fight that you're not supposed to put a guy in there for a second career fight for. I mean, especially somebody with the talent of Vasily Lomachenko, arguably the most talented and skilled boxer we've seen come through the sport since Andre Ward, probably. And we're back down. We're going to finish off our top 10 pound per pound. We're going to touch Dustin. We're going to touch a little base on Con Canelo. We're going to touch a little base on Bradley Pacquiao. And we're going to check on out of here, guys. We got several more. I got another show to do tonight, actually, for another company. But you've heard the commercial. Don't forget promo code FIGHTSERVE. That's FIGHTSERV. I'm glad Georgia was giving law degrees away that day. All right, what you got at number 4, Professor? We'll do them one at a time to finish them on out.
All right, number 4 for Ring Magazine was Mr. Super 8 himself, Andre Ward.
Andre Ward, I can't argue with that, considering that's who I got at number 4 myself.
Good, it's definitely very, very...
I'll go next, then. At number 3, I got Sergey Kovalev.
To his credit, he's moving up to fight Kovalev soon. And Ring Magazine has Gennady Golovkin at number 3.
I got Kovalev at 3.
Yeah, I would agree with you. From what I've seen in recent fights, I think that Gennady Golovkin is a better overall package.
At number 2, I'll go next. At number 2, I got Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez.
At number 2, Ring Magazine has Sergey Kovalev.
Well, at number 1, that leaves one man. I don't have the G guy. What's his name? I got Good Boy Edits, Mr. Good Boy himself. Looks like everybody's neighbor over here in Kazakhstan. I'm talking about the one and only Gennady Triple G Golovkin. The truth, guys. Y'all better realize it. This guy is the truth.
Certainly is no little G.
No little G at all.
Has a very good candidate to a big little guy, Roman Gonzalez.
Roman Gonzalez, I can't argue with that. Either way, he has been my number 1 since for 22 consecutive weeks now. I did replace him this week with Golovkin, and the reason I did that was because of Kovalev's performance against Pascal, and I'll say why. Because I know for a fact in Big Bear, California, when both of them were under the tutelage of one Mr. Abel Sanchez, Sanchez chose Golovkin instead of Kovalov, okay? That's who he wanted, was Golovkin. There's a reason for this, guys. Abel Sanchez has been in and around this sport for a long time. A long time. I happen to also know another trainer that was there today by the name of George Peterson. If you want to look him up, he trained Paul Williams, the Punisher. All right. Said that this match, this sparring session was stopped. All right. It was stopped. That even at 175 pounds, walking around weighted about 190 to 195, he wasn't ready for the little man that tips the scale at about 167, 168 all the time. Plain and simple. You know, Golovkin's come over, he's tilted in, he's, fight night weigh-in has went over 170, 3 times total? And I don't want to hear no more guys from the public, from these Facebook groups. I know I'm going to see it in the Facebook groups. This is the reason I'm out of them. I got out of them. If you're looking for me in them, don't cross your fingers. I'm not coming back, guys. If you're not in the championship rounds, you won't see me. Plain and simple. I go to my feed gets hardcore boxing or boxing IQ, Ringside Report. I do read a little bit. I'm friends with Bad Brad. James Quick Tillis as well, which he should be coming on an episode here within the next 3 to 4 weeks. There's some stuff being ironed out. He's a member of the Ringside Report thing, and but guys, we're getting ready to check out. We're getting ready to touch a little bit on Canelo. It's going to be something quick. You know, we're down to our last 45 minutes, but we're going to try to shut this down in the next 15 or 20 so because I need to ask the professor a couple of things after we go up there. Professor, what was your first thought when you seen that fight had been made? Or did you think it was a hoax at first?
Well, I barely believe it because Khan is moving up 2 divisions. He was not a big hitter at below 147. He's maybe a legitimate contender at welterweight. So he's never even fought at light middleweight. And I don't think he would be good at that weight. So he's going to fight full-size middleweight, even though it's at a catch weight of 155.
He's fighting at Super Junior.
Alvarez is going to be coming in at about 174, 175 pounds on fight night. And with that rather fragile chin that Khan has, there is no chance.
So what are you telling me? You telling me it's James Kirkland Part 2?
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to do because Canelo fights, he struggles against some of the really good guys. I think that really somebody in his position had no business not knocking out Cotto, for example. So he's trying to make it up by having one of these fights that makes it look like he's really good. Well, here's the main fighter, and look, I knocked him out.
Hey, he's going to get about $15 million in the process, right?
It's not going to go 5 rounds. And it's not going to be competitive for a second.
Guys, listen here. I'm not sure where the fight's taking place, but wherever it is, I think it's going to be at T-Mobile Arena, the first fight at the new arena in Vegas. I'm going to be outside the arena, and if this fight goes 7 rounds, I'll give you 2 hours to draw a crowd kiss your ass in the middle of downtown Las Vegas. There's no way in hell Amir Khan lasts 7 rounds, more than past the 7th round with Canelo Alvarez. It's not happening,
I
guys.
don't think it goes 5.
You know, I believe you're probably right, but I think the reason I say 7 because I think the over/under is probably going to be at about 8.5 to 9 on that. What that means if it 8 minutes and 31 seconds into, a minute 31 into round number 9, all right, then you went over if it's 8.5. If it's 9, then once the 9th bell stops, even if the fight stopped after the bell, you lose. But I believe if you bet the under right here, you better bet it for everything you can beg, borrow, and steal, guys, because I'm telling you right now, Canelo Alvarez redeems himself in his eyes. Okay? He fought a decent fight versus Cotto. He won the fight. Barely, but he won the fight.